I think we're going to go ahead and get started. We're almost at 40 participants. I want to make sure I see Brandy. You're good to go. You can hear me. All right. And then Erica, I want to make sure I know where you're at. Erica, you're good to go. All right. I want to welcome everyone to Highfields annual meeting. I want to welcome current and past board members. I want to welcome our staff and our donors. Thank you for joining us and participating in our virtual annual meeting. Tonight, we're going to honor some awardees and recognize 6 outgoing board members while welcoming 5 new incoming board members. I will also share a little of the past year, update you on current Highfields happenings, and share our vision for the future. May you enjoy your evening with us. Be inspired. Find some joy and comfort knowing that you are partners with us on this journey of serving children and families. If you haven't yet, go ahead and mute yourself, and then you might want to put your settings on presenter mode, so whoever's talking will be the person that pops up on your screen. It'll be a lot easier for you to follow who's speaking. I want to take a minute and recognize Dwayne Vernon, Mr. Michigan State University, for his longevity as a Highfields supporter and ambassador. Many of you know Dwayne. He's a former Highfields board member, and he is our board emeritus, and he stands alone as a true supporter of Highfields. He continues to reach out and ask about the well-being of Highfields, and we so appreciate his support and walking this journey with us. I also want to pay tribute and offer memorial to 2 of Highfields' true matriarchs and 2 superheroes that left us over the past year. Holly Schwendener was one of our founding mothers in the early 1960s and always greeted everyone with a smile and served as a Highfields ambassador until her passing this past December. Olivia Letts was the first African-American teacher and school administrator in the Lansing School District. Both of these women were superheroes that positively impacted everyone they ever had an interaction with. Olivia was the real thing, a civil rights crusader and an amazing community leader. Holly was truly authentic and as genuine a person as you would ever encounter. Highfields was truly blessed to have these amazing women as board members and longtime supporters. They will be greatly missed. At this time, I would like to introduce Brandy Ekren, our Highfields board chair. Brandy is the Executive Director of Strategic Planning and Development at the Board of Water and Light. Brandy is going to convene our meeting and kick us off. Please help me welcome Brandy Ekren.
Hi, everyone. It's great to see you virtually again this year. I think last year we started off virtually, and so we are wrapping up this year in my term virtually. So it's good to see all of you. So I will get started. Stick to my cheat sheet script notes and keep us moving forward. So we'll go ahead and we'll call the meeting to order. But can I get a motion for the approval of our minutes?
So moved.
Second. Yeah, Woody and Carol Giacoletto. Woody
Thanks.
on motion, Carol Giacoletto in support.
Thanks, Brian. All right. Is there any discussion or anything on the minutes? And if there is no discussion, all of those in favor say aye.
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 Anybody opposed? Great. Looks like the minutes have been approved. Brian, I'm going to flip this right back to you to give us that report.
All right. I want Deanna's going to share a PowerPoint presentation, and it's going to be about 8 to 9 minutes. And so I'm going to really take you through 2020, 2021, a year in review. Early on, when the pandemic hit in March of 2020, I don't think any of us knew what the world was going to be like. And I remember sitting in my office on Thursday, March 12th, Tim Monroe and Chris Jurasak and I were having a conversation, and we began to talk about what the pandemic meant, what it was going to be like, not just for Highfields, but for the state and for the country. And I early on coined the phrase, same mission, different strategies. We really didn't know, but we were going to find a way beyond any reasonable shadow of a doubt to carry on the mission of Highfields. So in March of 2020, we had to do a number of things. We had to close our residential campus. The executive order started flying out of the state government, community services. We had to practice social distancing. We had to screen clients. We were exploring telehealth. And then all of our school-based programs were closed until further notice. And we operate 9 school-based sites, and we were trying to figure this out. Eventually, all staff had to work from home if possible. Again, doing everything in our power to do same mission, different strategies. In April of 2020, our residential campus, we froze ourselves to intakes. Fortunately, we had a full campus. We applied for the Paycheck Protection Program loan, and we received that. $1.26 million was allocated and hit our bank account. We also created the Employee Relief Fund. We had a donor give us $5,000, and then we matched that, and we created a $10,000 fund. We wanted to take a holistic approach to support our staff. So whatever needs they had, whether it was technology, rent, food, groceries, we wanted to help them. And then we created pandemic and hazard pay for those staff that were working directly and seeing clients that were reporting to our campus, putting themselves in harm's way. We wanted to come alongside them. So we were paying them $2 extra an hour. In addition, our community services, we had to move forward with telehealth and occasional face-to-face. We started to transition students out, and our census started to drop. All of our Ingham Academy and school-based programs and Reaching Higher had to continue in that virtual mode. And then we used the Paycheck Protection Program dollars. And when we entered the pandemic, we had 35 open positions across the agency. And we made a decision that we were going to use those dollars for hiring incentives and bonuses. And I wanted to have a fully staffed Highfields team when we emerged from the pandemic. And I kept saying, we're going to get through this, and I want us to be stronger when we emerge on the backside. In May of 2020, we held our spring agency roundtable virtually with 90 employees, and our residential census had fallen to 9. And so we were really beginning to become a little concerned about the business model and what that was going to mean. We were watching the revenue, we were watching incoming dollars and outgoing expenses. And then June of 2020, reality of the pandemic began to sink in. Revenue was down in that quarter 33%. You can just say that there were a few sleepless nights for me as a CEO as we began to monitor that. As many of you know, the pandemic was a little bit of riding a roller coaster. There were good days. There were some crazy days, some days where you're going really slow climbing a mountain, and days where you were flying, feeling out of control. We began to open our offices. We had to quarantine some of our staff and students in residential. We heard that the Ingham Academy was not going to operate its summer programming. We had to make a difficult decision to furlough a small group of staff. All after school, Reaching Higher staff got very creative. They came up with what we called Camp in a Box, and they delivered these to the doors of every student in all 8 school-based programs. And then we heard that community services slowly we're going to be able to return to a face-to-face work environment when permitted to do so safely. The reality of children and families still needing services was tremendous, and we were trying to find a way to meet those needs. In July of 2020, we rolled out diversity, equity, and inclusion. At the same time we had the pandemic, there was other crisis affecting our country, and Highfields is committed to a diversity, equity, and inclusion initiative. So we began to engage in a process to evaluate, assess, and improve around these core issues. We also moved all of our community services programs back to a face-to-face environment, again, ensuring safety and protocol. In August of 2020, we held our 40th annual golf outing in a socially distanced and safe procedure protocol. Residential census had rebounded to 12, and we had double-digit referrals. Ingham Academy resumed programming, and all furlough employees were back to work. We were really beginning to feel good about where we were at. Then September 2020 rolled around, and some of the numbers began to speak to us. End of quarter revenues were down 29%. That 1.26 million that we had received was rapidly being depleted in the loss of revenues. And yet I still had faith that the trends were in the right direction. We were moving forward. We were encouraged by a number of things. We rolled out a strategic planning initiative, worked with Spectrum Consulting Group to develop a new 5-year plan. And we committed to phase 1 of our diversity, equity, and inclusion initiative. And we hired some consultants to help us through that work. In October of 2020, we held our virtual Strengthening Families fundraising breakfast, and we were able to do that completely online and still raise over $100,000. I was so encouraged by the way you as our stakeholders, you as board members, you as donors help come alongside and help us reach a milestone in giving. We also held our fall agency roundtable. We had over 80 employees there. In November of 2020, we moved all board and committee meetings to be held virtually through the end of the fiscal year at the end of April. We submitted loan forgiveness application to that first loan, and we had to put a hold on our residential intakes due to a statewide wave of COVID positive cases in all child caring institutions throughout the state of Michigan. In December of 2020, Q4 numbers came in. Our revenue had trended in the right direction and was only down 6.5% in that quarter. Yet we were hitting a staffing crisis. A number of employees were out on personal quarantine due to exposure or awaiting test results. We implemented bonuses and a new payment system to help ensure that we were able to maintain staffing during critical times. We had 2 students on campus test positive for COVID-19, and we had to implement a quarantine protocol. In January of 2021, vaccines started to become available. While we did not mandate it for staff, we were highly encouraging staff to get vaccinated, and our phase 1 of our DEI capacity building began as we finished our cultural organizational assessment and our agency-wide focus groups. In February of 2021, we submitted an application to Dart Bank for our Paycheck Protection Program Loan 2 while we were pending an update on the forgiveness of Loan 1. All programs are now in a face-to-face mode with telehealth virtual permissible only when necessary. And we continue to move forward with our leadership transformation as part of our diversity, equity, inclusion. 30 of Highfields' top leaders are meeting every 2 weeks for 4 hours around diversity, equity, inclusion, working to make ourselves better, that our organization will be better. In March, we're coming up on the 1-year anniversary, and we realize that as an organization, we have logged over 1 million scheduled Zoom minutes of virtual. That just like blew my mind when I saw that. I couldn't believe it. Our end of our first quarter in 2021, we had a 5% loss in revenue. And so the numbers are continuing to trend in the right direction. PPP Loan 2 funds have been deposited into Highfields account. Final strategic planning focus group is completed. Our census and residential is 14. We only have 8 positions. We started with 35, and in March we had 8. We're emerging stronger than what we were when we entered. At the same time, loan 1 was completely forgiven. And so financially, Highfields is starting to look much better. And then we reopened a second COVID family relief fund with $10,000 for employee support. And then in April, we approved the 2021-2022 budget for $9.5 million. The older unused cabins were demolished on campus just in the last couple of weeks, returning those original areas to green space. And major donors and corporate sponsors continued to support that has exceeded our expectations and goals. And let me just take a minute. In April of 2020 and in May, there were 6 straight Mondays where I came into the office, literally no one on my side of the building, and I'm opening the mail, I'm opening my emails, I'm checking my phone, and I get text messages. 6 straight Mondays, I had a significant gift that I was told about that was coming to Highfields' way. When I say significant, I mean $5,000 or more. And I remember one particular Monday, I was just absolutely moved to tears and emotion because I was in the midst of feeling a little despair, trying to figure out how we're going to feel and get this figured out. And then these donors send these amazing emails and notes and handwritten notes. That has continued just this last week. On Monday, Laura and I received news that a couple is going to send $15,000 to Highfields to support the COVID Family Relief Fund for our clients and to continue the support of the Employee COVID Relief Fund. Yesterday, I met with a donor and he handed me a $30,000 check unrestricted, specifically for Highfields. Again, I was moved to tears. This morning, I opened my email and we have another gift that's coming our way. I am amazed by the way that we have individuals, donors, corporate sponsors, and foundations that believe in the mission of Highfields. And then finally, we're finalizing the planning for our 41st annual golf outing, which is going to be June 7th at Forest Acres. And so if you want to be a part of that, just reach out to myself or Laura or Deanna, and we'd love to help you be a part of that. And finally, the last slide that I want to share with you is as we look at 2021 and beyond, I want you to rest assured that diversity, equity, and inclusion is going to remain at the forefront of Highfields. I want our organization to be diverse, equitable, and inclusive in all that we do. We're going to roll out phase 2, and we're going to move Highfields forward. We're going to finalize our strategic plan for 2021 through 2026. And as part of that, I want to ensure that we keep Highfields relevant, mission-driven, focused on positive outcomes for children and families. So I want to thank all of you for joining me, for joining us, and be a part of this journey. All of you are true partners in what we do, and I would just want to thank you all so very much. All right, Brandy, you and I are going to tag team this. We're going to recognize some outgoing board members, and we're going to do our 2 3-year board members. So Claudia Remenar and Woody Woodford. Before we jump on there, I want to indicate we have 6 outgoing board members, and What's interesting, they represent a combined 30 years of service to Highfields, 900 in-person virtual meetings, which is a combined 81,000 minutes of service, plus the countless minutes, hours of working individually for Highfields. So we're blessed as an agency. I am blessed as a CEO to have an amazing board of directors. So first, I want to recognize Claudia Remenar. And Claudia, I think you may have a few words that you want to say. So the mic is yours. Thank you so much for your service.
Well, as some of you know, I used to work for Highfields, and I've been involved with Highfields. I've known about them and had some connection since the 70s. So I feel like I have a long view. I go way back. But it's been really nice for me to see Highfields so healthy and grounded, especially now. And I'm right now in Virginia nannying a grandchild for a while. And so, but I'll still be involved with Highfields. And I chair the Planned Giving Committee. And I'm not going away, just not coming to all the meetings anymore. So thank you, everybody.
Claudia, I just wanted to say thank you for your service. And I know you also do a lot of work with the charitable giving and or the planned giving campaign, which has been a great sustainable foundation for us as an organization. So we know you're not going away, or rather, even if you try to, I don't think that the group is planning on letting you. So definitely thank you.
Yes.
Yeah. Woody, I want to thank you for your 3 years of service and all the work that you've done for Highfields. And you've been a great ambassador. And this is your opportunity if you want to offer a few words.
Sure. Yeah. I just want to say that as I kind of reflected on my 3 years, I just want to say thank you all for the opportunity to be a part of such a special organization. I have been really impressed with the level of care, concern, and professionalism just by all parties involved. And as a member of the programming committee, I've been able to see this in the leadership of people like Tim Monroe and Laura Hewson. And I've also seen it from fellow board members like Fran Luce and Becky Bednarski. There've been a lot of ups and downs over the past 3 years, and Highfields has really weathered the storm with an impressive amount of grace and dignity. And I'd say it's clear that Highfields is in good hands with Brian. So I want to give a special thanks to Lizzie for helping me get involved. And then lastly, and most importantly, I want to give recognition and thanks to all of the employees that are working hard on a daily basis to care for our clientele and make Highfields the wonderful organization that it is. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We're happy to have you as well. I think your tenure on the board for the first 3 years, we know you've been balancing and juggling a lot. And while it's easy to step away when we all got a lot going on, especially during this time, I'm happy you made it to the end of your this first term, and we look forward to maybe seeing you in the future. So, and I think you gave an indication of that as well. So just keep that in mind, but definitely appreciate your service.
Yeah, thanks. Let me see. I'm searching my screen. We're going to go with Tom Reeder. Tom, you have 6 great years. Your expertise as an architect saw us through the Dart Family Treatment Education Center and an amazing chair of the Building and Sites. And I'm holding the spot for you to come back in a year, just so you know. So thank you. And here's an opportunity if you want to offer any comments.
You know, I still remember the breakfast that you bought me when you sucked me into this. And I was thinking back, I said, when I first started on the Building and Sites Committee, we met at 7 o'clock in the morning. And then that got pushed to 7:30, and then 8 o'clock, and then 8:30. And I just get a feeling, because it was kind of cool when we first started, because my day was only half over. But now I got the feeling I was being pushed to a lunch meeting. So yeah, if you choose to have me back in a year, I'll be interesting to see if it's evolved to a lunch meeting. But I just want to say thank you for allowing me to be part of this. It's been great.
Tom, you do know what committee you're going to be on when you come back, obviously. And I didn't know I know our leadership or executive committee meeting. I never knew that it's actually at what point started at 7, but I am definitely the reason why it moved to 8:30. So appreciate your patience on that. So we'll be missed and looking forward to your continued involvement with Highfields. And it's amazing because we've built some great capital, right, over the past few years with your leadership on that committee. And so it's really nice, I think, when you are building things that you can see and you can touch and you can always come back to. So that's kind of an opportunity to know that you're part of that legacy.
All right, Lizzie, you are up next. Lizzie, 6 amazing years, and you've been great in so many ways. And you've taken the text, the phone call. You served as board chair, so you know in many ways the inner workings of Highfields better than anyone. And from a very personal gratitude, thank you so much for your years of service. You've been great.
Thank you, Brian. And thanks for making me cry earlier when you were reporting on all of the tremendous gifts that are being and continue to be given to Highfields. You may have seen me reach for a Kleenex, as is not uncommon. I certainly would echo all of the thanks for the opportunity. Many of you know that my connection to Highfields was sort of a strange one, and now is one that I will never lose, nor would I ever want to. As I was listening over the years, it has always struck me that we've never forgotten who we are and why we're here. Some of you have heard me talk before about the importance of knowing why we do what we do. And it wouldn't be a speech from me if I didn't mention something from Simon Sinek, just for Brandy, because she knows, he's great. But this one speaks to me and resonates with what you were saying earlier today, Brian, and that is that all organizations start with why, but only the great ones keep their why clear year after year. Those who forget why they were founded show up to the race every day to outdo someone else, or maybe make sure their revenues stay in a particular place instead of to outdo themselves. And the pursuit for those who lose sight of why they are running the race is for the medal or to beat someone else. And we have never forgotten that. We've heard Brian speak even in this last year about it's the same mission, it's just a different strategy. And the question is not, what do we do now? It's how do we continue doing what we do? And so I've always been very proud to stand alongside and be part of that. And I look forward to continuing to be of service, whatever that looks like. And I just appreciate all the gifts you have all given me. Thank you.
And so, obviously Lizzie got me hooked on Simon Sinek, and he is amazing. And, Lizzie, you are a consummate, an absolute professional. You handle grace under fire. And, we talk about phone calls and texts. You have definitely gone beyond, I would say, your duty as a board member in so many ways that just add so much value. I definitely value your tutelage over the years and look forward to that to continue. Because I know it's like once you're part of the family, you always stay in the family. But I definitely, appreciate your service, and I am all about the infinite mindset now. So he's a great dude to follow.
Great.
Thanks, Brandy.
All right, Jeff Hertridge is also finishing 6 years, and Jeff works for the AF Group Accident Fund, and Jeff also served as past chair. So he and I spent a lot of time on the phone, texting, lots of conversations. Jeff, maybe I have so many memories, and I'll not embarrass you, but you have been an amazing, regardless of your time or schedule, wherever you're at. I think the last Zoom meeting, you were on the beach of Florida, carrying on the mission of Highfields. And I truly appreciate all that you have done. And while you're coming off the board. I know where you're at, and I will reach out every time I can to have you help us move the mission forward. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Brian. I would also just like to point out I was supposed to come before Lizzie on the agenda, and I never like to. I'm not nearly as thoughtful as Lizzie, so thanks for that. This place it's really a testament to the leadership and everything else, and it's a great organization, and I can honestly say in 6 years, it's a better organization than when I started. There was a lot of firsts, first global pandemic, first. Some of the ups and downs. I will also point out I was the first outgoing chair to finalize his last meeting in sweatpants. So you'll be getting a plaque to hang somewhere in the office about that. But no, as Brian said, I'm not going anywhere. And as my last testament as signing off the board, my replacement, Robert Saxton, who we all meet, is better than I am. And he knows more than I do. And so I'm leaving you guys in very good hands. So I appreciate it. I've enjoyed working with all you guys. And like I said, I'm not going anywhere. So.
Well, Jeff, the reign of lawyers is taking a pause. So, we'll see how things go, but I'm confident Erica will do a great job. But you and Lizzie have been just amazing partners and mentors through my journey. And I just appreciate it and look forward to continuing to engage with you, either with Highfields or professionally. But I, definitely value your service and appreciate your commitment.
Thanks, Brandy.
And at this time, Brandy, I want to take just a minute and recognize you. And if we were in person, I would offer you, we have a chairperson award, but ultimately your leadership of the board of directors during a pandemic year has been amazing. As we move diversity, equity, inclusion, strategic planning, and as I have focused same mission, different strategies, you have been there every step of the way. As many of you have heard me say, hey, as a CEO, I'm coachable, and you have coached me on so many different occasions. And I've appreciated that, your patience, your leadership, your fortitude. And I have to say, as a CEO, to get a random text, an email, a word of encouragement from their board chair, just to say, hey, I just wanted to check in. How are you? And to know my life circumstances and whatever I'm going through, and to know that I have you on my back and in my corner has always been amazing. So thank you very much, and thank you for your leadership as board chair.
Thank you, Brian. I know I'll have a moment to make some concluding remarks, and so I'll save some there. But what I do want to at least share and say, because I do got thoughts about the pandemic, but the amazing staff at Highfields makes everything so much easy. It is so easy to be a cheerleader for a winning team. And I'll share a little bit more, but I do appreciate you, Brian. I think I've learned a lot from you as well. I appreciate your comments and your sentiment. I've learned so much from each board member. And so I'll just hush, because I'm going to spill over my little closing remarks, and I do want to keep us on schedule. But thank you. I do appreciate that sentiment. And you'll probably still get some text.
All right. At this time, Brandy, we're going to offer the officers and committee chairpersons. So this is really the report of the nominating committee. So I'm going to walk through this, and I'll let you call the motion. Does that sound okay?
It does. And now, if I recall, I don't have to do a first or a second, right?
Absolutely correct.
See, I am trainable too. So, all right.
So the nominating committee is met. Chairperson will be Erica Fussman. Chair-elect will be Ann Brown. Past chair will be Brandy. Carol Giacolo will be our treasurer. Sam Davis will serve as secretary. Program committee will be co-chaired by Becky Bednarski and Fran Luce. Fund development will be co-chaired by Ann Brown and Mark DeLuca. Finance and personnel will be co-chaired by Carol Giacoletto and Peter Tratt. who just got married, by the way. Thank you. Congrats, Peter. And Building Insights will be chaired by Mike Sheets. We have 5 new board members that are going to be starting their first 3-year term. Dr. Carol Beals, Chad Karsten, Kiara Lake, and Robert Saxton, and Beth Yider. And so we're very excited. If you go to the chat, you'll see the program, and in the program are all their bios and where they're from. And so we're very excited. I think we have a great new group of board members. They're going to be doing 3-year terms. And so this comes from committee, so it does not require a motion. It carries a motion. All you need to do is call the vote, Brandy.
All right, so all those in favor, raise your hand. It looks like we got mostly hands up. Those who are not in favor, do a thumbs down. I did not see any, so I guess that passes.
That's great. You know, Brandy, let me deviate. She's not with us, but Siobhan Klupfer is finishing 6 years of service on the board. And so we do want to make sure that we take a moment to thank her. You know, all of the public service announcements, the way that Siobhan has always been in our corner, and the way the WLNS continues to support us. We have a history of having a board member from WLNS that I think is close to 40 years. And as she departs, we're very excited to have Kiara join us. And so the bar is held high, Kiara. I'm just letting you know that, but you're going to do great. And we're excited to continue the partnership with WLNS. All right, couple of business items, 2 action items. Brandy, you have those. They do need a motion and a support.
Okay. All right. Let me get on to my notes here really quick. So we're going to go to the officers. We're going to introduce the officers. And so we'll start with those directors that are being renewed for a 2nd term. And what I will do is we will just maybe take a motion and vote on those both together. So the first one is Ann Brown, and the second is Nanette Norwood. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Sam moved and Peter seconded. Is that what you saw, Brian?
Yes.
Awesome. All those in favor, raise your hand. Do we have any nays? I don't think so. All right, so that passes. The next is our 2021 through 2022 officers and committee chairpersons. And so and I will do these also in a batch as well, if that's okay with you, Brian and Deanna.
Actually, can you see me?
Yep, I can see you.
Yeah, we need actually authorization for signing of accounts and contracts. That's where we're at. We've already done the officers.
Did we? Oh, give me 1 second. Oh, okay. All right. I went. Okay. All right. Thank you, Brian. All right. So the action item I have is authorization of Erica Fussman and Brian Filson to sign the accounts and contracts for Highfields. Can I get a motion to move that forward? Nanette and Carol. I got Nanette as first and Carol as second. All those in favor, raise your hand. Any opposition? I don't see any, so that passes. And then authorization for Brian and Carol and Tim Monroe and Chris Jurasek and Laura Jurasek to sign and endorse checks. Can I get a motion for that one?
So moved.
So moved.
All right, Becky, I feel like I saw you moved and I didn't catch the second.
Fran.
Fran Lewis.
Fran, awesome. All right, all those in favor say aye. Okay, wonderful. Thank you. All right, thanks, Brian, for getting me back online here. All right, so Is it my comment time?
It is.
So, I mean, who imagines that you would chair or get more involved in any type of organization virtually the whole time? So I do have to admit, it has been an absolute pleasure. And, I had mentioned before that, it's easy to be a cheerleader for a winning team, but quite honestly, each and every person, whether it be staff or board members, has had some type of personal impact with this blended lifestyle. Brian talked about the era of forgiveness, the same mission, different strategies, and I've talked about how much we have survived, but we have gone beyond thriving. And so, I mean, I just, I cannot imagine, and I am not aware of as many nonprofits that have pulled off and succeeded as well as we have done over a pandemic year. One of the, it's to the point where I think now we're going to consider doing Zoom meetings, even after the pandemic as a potential option. But, I think we have a lot to be proud of. I wish I could totally attribute it to it was me. Like I had like a huge part to do with that, but really it really wasn't. I mean, it was dedicated staff, it was dedicated leadership. You had people chipping in, putting in extra hours beyond what they normally do for a committee, and it just warms your heart. And it all comes with dealing with some type of barrier, the barrier of a blended life. And so, I'm honored and proud to be a part of it. It definitely was a great opportunity. I've learned so much. I'm going to continue to learn, which is great. I had to double check with Brian and make certain. I always lose track of those terms. But I'm just so proud of where we are as an organization. Erica has been an amazing chair-elect. Definitely much more in the loop and up and involved than I was when I was chair-elect. And so Erica is definitely hitting the ground running. I am just so obviously proud of her. And she's got a strong legacy because, she comes in front of three lawyers or in behind three lawyers, and she deals with compliance. So I don't know, you guys can figure out which one you prefer. But the reality is it has been an amazing year. I am so impressed. And I do have to admit, I'm gonna sound a little biased here, but we definitely had the best virtual breakfast. As a matter of fact, I think there were a couple other organizations, and they've been trying to follow our suit there. So we've done great, and it's all because of great teamwork and other people that have been contributing. So that's really my only final remarks. I will now hand this over to Erica. I will virtually hand you the gavel. You're like here in the screen for me, and then I'll turn it over to you, ma'am.
Thank you. It is an honor to serve as this year's chairperson. This past year has certainly seen its struggles, hard times, and moments of fear and apprehension. However, it was with perseverance, dedication, and hope that the staff of Highfields overcame those challenges. Through it all, you remained true to Highfields' mission, to help youth and their families during times of crisis. I sincerely thank you for living that mission every day, especially during those times when we all felt like we were experiencing our own moment of crisis. Your commitment to the community and the people we serve is why Highfields is successful. I also want to take a moment to thank the board of directors and the leadership team for your dedication to Highfields. Your passion is evident in every meeting, and I greatly appreciate the guidance and care you provide to the organization. With that said, I want to especially thank Brandy for her time served as our chairperson. Your leadership was a guiding light this past year. You handled every obstacle with grace and provided a sense of focus and ambition for the future initiatives. You certainly left me with big shoes to fill. Furthermore, I want to thank our generous donors. Your support enables us to continue our work and benefit our community. I look forward to a new year. Not only will we continue to support the youth in our community, We have also began to work on exciting initiatives such as reviewing our strategic goals and creating a culture that embraces diversity, equity, and inclusion. It will certainly be an exciting year, and I am so grateful to have the opportunity to participate as this year's chairperson. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Erica. And looking forward to working with you and the new board. We're going to move into the endowment report and then the awards. So this is where the real fun and excitement of the annual meeting typically takes place. We do have one more action item. The nominating committee is recommending the following individuals to serve on endowment. Rich Martin as chair, Carol Giacoletto as treasurer, Carrie Freeman as the board liaison, Nakia Barr, community liaison, Kira Carter Robertson, Ken Franklin, and Nicole Powers Heinig are also going to be joining. So this comes as a motion, so we simply need to call the question, Erica.
Do we have a motion for approval?
Just say, all in favor, say aye.
Oh, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Perfect. It appears we passed.
Great. The endowment report, we're going to get ready to queue up a video, and you're going to get an opportunity as that's coming up. The committee met on January 27th and received a report from Olivia Martin of Wells Fargo. The fund had a cumulative return of 13.59%, and the committee approved distribution of $19,303.78 unrestricted and Bradford Fund expenditures of $62,500. The committee met again on March 30th and approved 12 scholarships, each for $1,000, and those recipients are highlighted in the following video. Many of them are attending tonight virtually. Feel free to offer a congratulatory comment or two in the chat box as the video plays. Great, thanks Laura for sharing the video. The Aldinger Scholarship recipients all have been previous clients of Highfields or a family member of a client. And so we're very excited to be able to do that. And so again, congratulations to all the scholarship recipients, and we look forward to hearing great things about you. At this point, we're going to move to our Highfields Awards, and I first want to do the Carl J. Latona Distinguished Service Award. This award is presented annually to an individual that exemplifies the characteristics displayed by Carl during his 25 years as CEO. Many of you knew Carl, and he was our CEO from '74 until 1999. Carl was an inspirational visionary leader that transported Highfields to a higher plateau of professionalism and service to the community. The Latona Award acknowledges 4 traits exhibited by Carl: integrity, passion for helping others, perseverance, and an uncompromising commitment to doing the right thing. This year's recipient is Tim Monroe, and is he truly an example of those four traits? Tim is an individual who I draw my inspiration and energy from. He is someone that truly exemplifies what it means to be a Highfields employee. I truly wish we could be together and stand in appreciation and honor of Tim and his service to Highfields. Tim, congratulations on being the 2021 recipient of the Carl J. Latona Distinguished Service Award.
Well, thank you, Brian, for that. Wow, that was really moving to hear, and I'm so glad I have a prepared statement. I am humbled and honored to be the 2021 recipient of the Carl J. Latona Award. It is especially meaningful because I know Carl. To me, he's legendary and an icon in the field. He is the person who hired me both times I worked for Highfields. He is also the person who created the Community Services Division and promoted me as its first director. He did this at a time when community-based services for Highfields were just moving out of the idea stage of development and into the action stage. Carl believed in me, and more than 3 decades later, I am still witnessing Highfields' transformative story as it emerges. When asked, I tell people I've been around Highfields since before the roads were paved, and it's a true story, unfortunately. Early in my career, I worked in the residential program. Overnight worker, youth specialist, family counselor, and treatment coordinator were the positions I held during my residential years. I learned the craft of being a professional helper through working with residential youth and their families. Many of the tenets I learned through those experiences I still use today when I work with people. Carl often said the residential program was the jewel of Highfields' crown of services. One thing is certain, you learn a lot about human behavior and behavior change working in residential. And on most days, that was fun work too. I left Highfields to finish my MSW. I wanted to be a therapist in the more traditional sense, and I had no plans to return. As luck would have it though, I couldn't find a second-year internship that would allow me to do it on nights and weekends, but Highfields would, and this proved to be pivotal to my future with the organization. While completing my internship, I worked full-time as a community-based social worker while finishing my MSW. This was around the time that Carl initiated what he coined as Highfields 2. Highfields decided that to have a greater impact on children, youth, and families, we needed to work with them before their behaviors required out-of-home placement. This is where the idea of working with people at their earliest point in need started to take form, and it was the beginning of community services for Highfields. This was also the beginning of a new chapter in my Highfields story. Initially, community services work was mostly a conceptual framework. At that time, Highfields was only known as a camp for boys. We were called Camp Highfields. Some people thought it was pretty audacious of us to think we could be a full service human service organization that provided treatment to people across the entire life spectrum. After being hired as Director of Community Services, for some reason, Carl equated my early work tasks to that of a dog and told me, quote, "Tim, go out and pee on as many fire hydrants as possible." Now that was some language I understood. And with the idea of reaching people at their earliest point in need, I went out in search of fire hydrants. And as the years passed, we partnered with many fire hydrants, and Highfields did transform. It grew to become a full service behavioral health organization serving the entire life spectrum. It grew from serving less than 100 people per year to reaching thousands of people per year. It expanded its footprint across mid-Michigan, and it did this while staying true to its mission and core values. And I was lucky enough to play a pivotal role in this. While the final chapter of my Highfields story is still being written, I am grateful to have been a part of it. Tonight, I'm being recognized for the gifts I have shared with Highfields over the years. And while I appreciate this, in reality, I am more thankful for the gifts I have received as a result of being part of the Highfields experience. Thank you.
Thank you, Tim. I fairly certain I can speak for everyone when I say you are so truly deserving of this award. You have not only dedicated a lifetime to serving the youth and this community and benefiting individual lives, thousands of lives, doing good things, changing their lives for the better. You have been a pivotal role in making sure that there was a program in place to continue that work. And we just thank you. And we honestly could not have done it without you. You are really, truly deserving of this award. So thank you for everything you have done and continue to do for Highfields.
Well done, Tim. All right, we are going to move to the Robert L. Drake Citizenship Award. Judge Drake was one of the many individuals given credit for the founding of Highfields. He served his entire life advocating for children and families. The Robert L. Drake Citizenship Award is awarded to individuals who, through commitment of time, deeds, and leadership, have brought together many citizens from all parts of our community and engaged their talents to create special opportunities for youth and families to grow stronger, thereby enriching the fabric of our community. This year's recipient is Stephen Zinda of Williamston. Steve has served the Williamston area and the greater Lansing area, specifically with his support of Highfields and our work with children and families. Steve served on the Highfields board from 1992 until 1998. And then I first met Steve a number of years ago when he sent me, and I'm just going to kind of call it a random email, Steve. I don't know that we had physically ever met. And he sends this random email, kind of saying who he was, but he tells me about his passion for the use of mindfulness and meditation and how it had become such an integral part of his own life, helped him get through school and education and in his corporate business world. Over the following months and now several years, Steve has supported Highfields as we have implemented mindfulness and incorporated it into a number of our programs. Steve, your passion for the work of Highfields and your generosity in giving of your time and resources and your humbleness in doing so has truly been remarkable. I know that Judge Drake would be honored to have his name associated with yours. Congratulations on being named this year's Robert L. Drake Citizenship Award recipient.
Well, thank you, Brian. I hope people are hearing me because this is my initial Zoom experience with the passage of all these years. So if I'm audible, I will respond and say thank you. When I sent you that long, meandering email, was it 4 years ago? I don't recall, but the concept that you folks who I respect and admire so much would be willing to consider the idea of a mindfulness program and a meditation program with his experience in my life. And as I looked around the landscape, I thought, boy, we sure could use that for a lot of reasons. And I won't go into all that right now, but I will say that you were ideally positioned to do that. And I had a fervent hope that you might say, yeah, let's talk about it. I did add a little bit of a sweetener because I knew you would probably respond and say, well, Steve, it's a great idea, but it's probably not feasible. So I suggested until we get it up and running that I would help finance it until we made it a service that we could offer to all our clients and to all the people that you help. And with the hope that maybe we can expand it into the greater community and that we could expand it into businesses and any organization where they think, you know, we need to be grounded, we need to have perspective. And I think it's a service that when you look now at, I mean, it's coincidental, but the COVID epidemic, and you look at the CDC reports on the mental distress, all the pressures that are being occurring to families and businesses and to disadvantaged folks and to everybody else. Brian got back with me and said, let's talk. And I was like, great. And we did. And then Highfields took over like they did. I had really nothing to do with it other than be a supporter. But there was a lot of enthusiasm and excitement within the organization, and a lot of people who wanted to pursue this and create a program to add another element of all the wonderful services you folks provide. And we're now in a position with now Becky taking the lead on it and getting accredited, that we can now start presenting it to your clients and to take it beyond the community, out into the community, where we can go to businesses and say, you know, we could all use this right now, and it's a great thing to have in your life. And so we're on the precipice of doing that, and it's really exciting for me. You know, when I approached Brian, and we didn't know each other, I thought, who am I to talk to this guy? But it's worked out grand. I think it's a positive thing. I think it's going to have a positive influence on a lot of people who go through this program. And more than ever before, it's a program that we need. And I'll continue to support it forever. But I'm glad Highfields gave me the opportunity to add my 2 cents in. As far as the award, I don't think I'm deserving, but I'm so appreciative. It's to be mentioned with the Highfield name, and to be mentioned with Robert Drake and Carol Latone and Brian, and just the whole organization is a great honor, and it's one I'll always cherish. So I thank you.
Yeah. Well, Steve, I know this is your inaugural Zoom, but you did great. And I'm not sure if you can follow along, but in the chat box is blowing up with congratulatory comments talking about the science of mindfulness and the power of mindfulness. And so many people are saying thank you and appreciative and thankful for you and your vision for it.
Okay, thank you, Brian.
Yeah. All right, our final award tonight is the Highfields Partnership Award. And give me just, the WB and Candace Toman Foundation is nominated for the 2021 Partnership Award thanks to their commitment to providing educational opportunities to disadvantaged youth in the community. The foundation has been instrumental in supporting life-enhancing programs for youth at Highfields, specifically the Arts and Technology program for the young men in our residential program. They recognize how important it is for youth in treatment to have an outlet to be creative and express themselves in positive ways. The program gives youth a chance to discover a new passion, make progress, and better their situation in life. The Thoman Foundation has supported Highfields for 13 years, and during the COVID-19 pandemic, they understood our unique situation and the difficulties around the Arts and Technology program, and they graciously allowed an extension for an additional year in order to use the funds in the way that they were intended. Please help me congratulate the WB and Candace Thoman Foundation. Here to accept the award is Claudia Remenar, a trustee of the foundation.
Thank you. You can hear me okay? All right. Just a quick word about the Thoman Foundation, because it flies under the radar and most people have never heard of it. WB, also called Bart, and Candace Thoman were brother and sister, and they owned the Thoman Milling Company, which sat at the corner of Michigan and Grand Avenue, right across from where the current Radisson Hotel is. And they operated there as a flour mill for 100 years. They liquidated in 1957. So they were third generation, Candace and her brother Bart. So maybe you can picture the local farmers bringing their wheat to the market in their bobsleds and their wagons, and it would be turned into flour that was then shipped around the country and the world. So, you know, just a little piece of Lansing's history. So Ben Schwendener, Polly, his wife, has already been recognized tonight, who was a founding mother of Highfields. Well, Ben was the Thoman's attorney. And because they were a brother and sister who never married and had no heirs or children, he said to them, because he had also set up the Dart Foundation, he said, why not start a foundation to give money back? And so they did. And then Ben served as the president of this foundation continuously for 50 years. He just retired a couple of years ago. And he's the one who brought me in as a trustee. So it's a foundation with no living heirs, no living donors. And the mission, as it was set up, is still valid today, which is to assist promising disadvantaged youth in Ingham, Eaton, and Clinton counties by supporting educational and developmental programs that help them realize their potential. So we have a very small board of trustees, and we don't advertise, we don't have a website. So, you know, it's, again, this is a wonderful honor for us. So I know that the other Thoman trustees are very appreciative. But I will also make sure that Ben Schwendener, who's now in his 90s, living at home, sees this award, and it will mean so much to Ben. So thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Claudia. Ben actually just turned 92.
Yes, just recently.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you, Claudia. That was a wonderful story. I had no idea. I appreciate you sharing that. And I want to give just another congratulations to everyone. So thank you so much, Tim, Steve, Claudia, for representing the Thoman Foundation. You really, truly are deserving of the awards. And we couldn't do what we do with Highfields without the support of the amazing people like yourselves who support us. So thank you very much. I also want to give a heartfelt congratulations to all of our scholarship recipients. I know I speak for everyone when I say we're very excited to see what you can achieve, and we look forward to a brighter future with you in it. So thank you very much. And again, congratulations to everyone. We do appreciate you.
All
with
right,
that, I was going to say, go ahead.
Yeah, just a final, I think we'll leave the room open for anyone who wants to maybe hang around and just do a little virtual chit chat. I'm going to stay on for a couple of minutes, and thank you for joining us and being a partner with us on our journey. And with that, Erica, you can close the meeting.
All right, I officially adjourn the meeting. Thank you, everyone.